Yay, you're back, unless you are just now joining me. So we're talking about this very, very vital, essential subject called holiness. Holiness of God, holiness of us. They've got to come together here. To be able to be right with God, like I've quoted in Hebrews 12, it says, without holiness, no man shall see the Lord. If you're not holy, he's got to reject you. Just because of his nature, he's holy. And so the last time we discussed this idea of fear, and I kind of want to stop just for a second and say, this is not a fear of bondage, a fear that you cringe or you can't talk to God, a fear that you just, it's an extreme, that's an extreme thing where you just shut down and you run the other way. Like, you can't run the other way, God's there. But my point is, the Bible says we have not received the spirit of fear again to bondage, but the spirit of adoption whereby we cry, Abba, Father. This is Romans 12 also. Romans 8 and also Galatians 4 talks about the spirit of adoption. We say, Abba, Father. So it's a sweet relationship with him. Underneath it and throughout, there's a deep respect and a fear of his judgments, and all that's good. But if you just have that, you don't have that love and that wonderful, sweet, open relationship with each other. See, it's really balanced here. I'm just a bit concerned that you get this idea that we have to cringe, grovel. There's a cringing and groveling that should happen too, though. So it's a balanced thing here. But the Lord will work it out with you if you just keep going towards him. And then what happens is the more you know God, the more it just happens together. There's a wholeness that happens. Holiness, a wholeness. Put a W there. It's a wholeness too that happens, and it's a wonderful relationship that it has all of it together. Like, I fear God, but I also love God. I fear God, and I also have a real tight, wonderful relationship with Him. I don't know. It's hard to explain, I guess, but let's go into this holiness thing. We did this last video. Definitely the hatred of sin and evil. If you're walking in holiness, then you're going to hate evil. God hates evil passionately. He hates it. He created hell for the devil and his angels, but that's how much he hates it. It's a fire, consuming fire against it. It's a godly fear that we need to have there, in the sense that we can't stand evil. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Proverbs 8 talks about pride and arrogance and all that you hate. You hate things that are evil and sinful. The Bible says, abhor that which is evil in Romans 12. Cleave to that which is good. There's just a natural thing that happens. It's in your nature. If Christ is in you, he hates iniquity, the Bible says. So, yeah, it's just if you're walking in holiness, it's an inward holiness, not an external thing. It's not Old Testament external, like the tabernacle and all that. It's an internal thing. I will write my laws on your hearts, he said. God said in Jeremiah 31:31 and such, and also mentioned in Hebrews 8 and Hebrews 10. It's an emphasis towards the inward part. So there is a hatred of sin. When you're holy, you have a holy love for God, and it's a pure love for God, and it's a fervent love for God, and you hate sin. Next one is obedience. By the way, this one, all three of them, and actually this one too, all are found in this passage in Peter. And I think I'm going to turn to that real quick. 1 Peter chapter 1, it's like, oh, they're all there right in that one passage right there. But the next one is obedience. If you're walking in holiness, that means you're walking in obedience to his commandments. Because if you're sinning, how can that be holy? It's unholy, right? So 1 Peter chapter 1, I'll just kind of point this out. If you want to, you can stop the machine, your device there, and jump into this. I'm going to jump right in because it's all the way throughout this chapter. But chapter 13, chapter 1, verse 13. Or let's skip to 14. As obedient children. He's talking to born-again people. You're born again, you're saved, you need to be obedient. It says, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to your former, in the past, lusts, your desires, in your ignorance. very ignorant. But as he which has called you is holy. See, he says, as obedient children, because you're holy. So they go together. But as he which has called you is holy, so be holy in all manner of conduct. I like that one. Every area of your life. Your words, your thoughts, your motives, your deeds, what you do with your money, it's all very sacred. Life is sacred. The whole thing is holy. Even if you're going to the grocery store, if you're driving, if you're sleeping, everything is just a sacred, holy living life, and all your conduct be holy. But again, it says obedient right there. And then it says, and if you call on the Father, who without respect of persons judges according to every man's work. And that's kind of like, oh, he's going to judge me. That's where the fear comes in. He says, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. See, there's the fear. So kind of right here is all these words. Then later down here it says, seeing you have purified, this is verse 22, seeing you have purified your souls, purifying. There's a holy fire here. You're purifying yourself, getting all the junk out. Your souls in obeying the truth. There's obedience again. Through the Spirit, by the way, it's another thing we'll get into later. It's the Spirit of Christ that makes you holy. Through the Spirit, unto unfeigned love of the brothers. Unfeigned means sincere, pure love of your brothers. See, there's a love. Now, here's all of these right here. That's my point. It's just right. It's all through the Bible, but this is all contained right there in a few verses. There's obedience, love, the hatred of sin and evil. It's not obedience, love, and isolation. Holiness is right in there, and love is an important component of holy. It's a holy love. It's a different type of love that the world has. It's a love that loves enemies. It's a love that does things for people when they don't do anything back for you. And then the next one I would like to emphasize is isolate, separate. The Bible says, be ye separate, come out from among them. To isolate yourself from the sin. Now, isolate doesn't mean you get away from the world, withdraw, and you don't do anything for them. That's not holy. It's all about self-centeredness there. I don't believe in monasteries and monks and all that where they get away from the world and have no contact with them. Jesus came out of heaven to come into the earth and world. Now, there's a time to isolate and give yourself to prayer and all that. Devote yourself to in time with God. It's not what I'm talking about. Isolation from evil. Separating yourself from the evil and the systems of the world and how they're thinking and all. So the next one is narrow road. The narrow road is definitely a narrow way. It really shuts out a lot of things. It eliminates a lot of the things that the world's into. That which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination to the Lord. The Bible says friendship with the world is enemy with God. So there is an isolation and there's a narrow road of righteousness. It's squeezed, it's pressured, it receives persecution, it receives misunderstanding. You'll be called, like I said in the last video, freaks sometimes, or you're weird. There's a narrow road, and it definitely eliminates a lot of things. You say, are you narrow-minded? Yeah, on some things, absolutely, I'm narrow-minded. I'm open-minded to truth. I'm open-minded, God, but there's certain things that are against God. You cut it off, it's narrow. So there's a narrow road that leads to life, and so holiness demands a narrow way of thinking. I go with his values and all. Speaking of values, you esteem, honor, and value him. You value his opinions and all. You honor him with your life. You esteem him. You value him. Okay, next one is same as God. Holiness is basically it's just being the same God, same as God. He says, be holy as I am holy. Same what? Same opinions. You gain his values and his opinions and what he thinks of things. He has opinion about everything. And I do too. And you have the same ethics. You have the same moral standards, same caliber of thinking, the same things that you like what he likes, you don't like what he doesn't like. You don't call good evil and evil good, or light darkness and darkness light. Woe unto them that do that, Isaiah 5 says. So there's this same as God, meaning you're in sympathy with him. I like Phinehas in the book of Numbers. He says he has the same zeal that I have. That's cool. And he really punished this couple and who were making love in a tent, and he put a spear right in between, all the way through both of them, and God said, there you go. And that stopped the sin. I think there was 24,000, is that right? 26,000 people that were being slaughtered by the anger of God. It was busting out there, and Phinehas stopped that anger of God, because he finally had some justice happen. Holiness is justice. You hate injustices. You hate unfairness and all. So all of this is like God. You're the same as God. Like son, like daughter. I mean, like father, like son. Like father, like daughter. You become like him. And that's what holiness is. And everything he has, what he values and what he thinks is important to you. Things that are not important, he's not interested that much. You're not either. So you become the same as God. If you're going to go into heaven, you got to have that. Okay, and then the last one I'd like to mention is surrender. Definitely holiness is surrendering your life to God and submitting yourself to him and saying, what do you want me to do in my life? I think I'll stop there so it doesn't get too long. People won't listen to it. Thanks for listening. God bless you.